and welcome to the new Talking Balls show, where fans come together to discuss the hot topics of the week. In this episode, we'll be talking about the Manchester derby and those goals, some stunners there, with a United and a City fan. We'll also talk about Liverpool's controversial win with a Liverpool fan. We'll see if he thinks it's controversial. And we'll also be talking Spurs, and we'll be discussing whether Harry Kane is a born loser. We'll also be giving you the chance to win some cash in our score for a score game. So stick around to the end for that. We'll put some details up on the screen soon. So before we get started, and just to check that you're all okay to hear me, can you please just pop in the comments box there the team that you support? It'd be great to see who we've got watching tonight and what teams are involved. I know there's the Arsenal game on. I'm not expecting any Arsenal fans to pop in, but Sheffield United is going to be a battering. Okay. So first up, we are going to talk to a Manchester United fan. Let me just add him to the stage. Hey, Oscar, Fulham. Spoke to you earlier. How you doing, mate? Okay, Mick. How you doing?
Hello. Not too bad. Honored to be part of your premiere show, to be honest.
No, really appreciate you being here. And just for those who don't know, Mickey's from mufc Realist TV, and watched one of his live streams earlier, which is very interesting. So do go and follow him as well.
Thank you.
And from that, Mick, I do know that obviously you've got some good, strong opinions. So I'm really interested to talk about that with you.
Sure.
So firstly, let's just start where we should really. What are your thoughts on yesterday's match?
Well, what to expect? You know, you playing the best team in the world at the moment, who's got a bench that, you know, walks into anyone's first team, to be honest, and knowing that we are a depleted squad, like, you know, with injuries since beginning, we basically, let me be frank and honest, we hardly got off for pre-season, to be honest, and with a half of squad injured. And the misfortunes keep going and going. And it was kind of inevitable. But to be fair and square, to go to Etihad, to be 1-0 up in the first half, and Ten Hag changed up the tactics to play 4-4-2 diamond. In a way, we kind of was sitting back, you know, holding a low block. The midfield was good. They huffed and puffed, and they tried to figure out to sort of the combination for the lock, you know what I mean? But it's so hard to play. If you play the game, it's so hard just to sit and defend for 90 full minutes. And it was inevitable that they found a loophole, which was a left flank, Victor Lindelof, who is not a left back. And that's why you saw that Ten Hag did a tactical change to put Diego Dalot from the right, to put him on the left, and put in young Willy Kwambala. So in all, it's levels, it's nuances, to be fair. Like to say that, you know, you look at City's bench, abundance of talents, and they put in the strongest team. They were more under pressure to win because the top 4 race, I mean, I would say the top 1 race, it's unprecedented. I've never seen a tight race like this for a decade, right? So it is like 3 points apart. I think there's Arsenal, there's Liverpool, there's, you know, City in for it. And there's us, of course, looking to get into top 4. The meltdown afterwards, of course, the media is always there to sharpen the knives, to be honest, to say Ten Hag out, you know, he's going to be replaced, sacked, you know, but it's not that bad. If you look at it, we only lost 2 games since January. We've been on a run. And if we look at the remaining games, we basically have 8 games where we are facing the lower mid-table teams, and only Liverpool and Arsenal left to play out of the big boys, other than you guys. Like, you know, if you look at Villa, they have all the big boys. Spurs, they're playing all the big boys as well. So Premier League table is going to be very, very exciting to watch in the next foreseeable 11 games. So it is what it is. Win, lose, draw. We fans, we always have opinions, but got to be balanced, mate.
Absolutely. And I noticed Jim Ratcliffe said that United have a 3-year plan to knock City and Liverpool off their perch. What is that plan? 3 years seems very ambitious.
Well, that statement alone puts a lot of pressure on Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos by himself, right? Arguably, to be fair, United need a structure. We are playing catch up. We've been stuck in quicksand and cement for 10 years, but everyone else has been catching up, like Brighton, West Ham. Everyone has a sporting director, recruitment department, vision and a plan. United haven't had that, right? Ever since Sir Alex left. And now everyone knows the Glaze has been prioritizing money than football, taking out 1 billion in dividends and debts and stuff like that. And we had managers like Pep Guardiola, you name it, Louis van Gaal, award-winning CVs. They never succeeded. And why? Because there was never a structure in place. Now I think it's the first time ever that you start recruiting from the top. Omar Barada, former COO from Manchester City Group, Jason Wilcox, also former City, Southampton, and apparently Dan Ashworth, and you build it from there, right? So for me, that needs to be the first thing you got to look at. But then it's not a switch of a light that things will happen over one night or one season. This is a 3-year plan, 100%. It's like business, right? When you start a business, a startup, you always set a 3-year plan, 5-year contingency plan, right? Where you build from the bottom and work your way all the way to the roof. And there's more work to be done, to be honest. So I think it will be 1 or 2 transfer seasons until we can see the fruits of that labor. Will Ten Hag be there? Nobody really knows. He's got 1 year left on his contract. And I argue in my show earlier today that it's not his fault. Like, if you take a 360 approach from everything that's been going on around the club, the takeover, the scandals, Mason Greenwood, Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and all that stuff, no other manager has faced that scandals and shit to deal with. Sorry for saying that word, but it's been unprecedented. And of course, media loves the story. So we will see. What we United fans can look forward to is just to see out the season, play game by game cup. It's like a cup final, and just hopefully we will hop over the line with one leg, the way it's looking right now, and just go for this.
Yeah, don't worry. I don't think that'll be the last where we're talking to real fans here with real opinions. So I'm sure there'll be a few popping out. Don't worry about that.
No worries.
I mean, it was Eric Ten Hag's 100th game. So, and looking at his record, 61 wins, 11 draws, 28 losses. What are your thoughts on Ten Hag?
I think this fans has been blinded by the light from every negativity that's been going on. So his first season, if you look at it, I think he overachieved with the existing squad that he had, right? Of course, he spent a little bit of money, but the camaraderie, everything was there. We finished third, and barring from the season before, won us the Carabao Energy Cup final. And from there on, the expectations was high. But then the FFP and the total change of ownership spoiled everything. So I'm not going to go into that, but he didn't really get backed properly. He didn't get his first team place that he wanted. Mason Mount was a weird one. Nobody really understands. He's played 7 times under United shirt and rest injured. Do I expect us to get into top 4, top 5? Well, the ball is rounded. Anything can happen. This is football, right? So Ten Hag, for me, with a proper structure and backing, yeah, definitely he can do it. If you look at what he did at Ajax and what he did in the first season, so it's not doom and gloom, according to my opinion. He's got 1 year left on his contract. So the most sensible thing is with the new establishment to say, okay, Eric, we understand. Ratcliffe said it himself in the interview. It's, United had proper coaches, what he said, right? But there hasn't been the right vision and structure in place. But on the other hand, to make top 4 and 5, it's so important for this rebuild project, because Champions League is important because of revenues, right? And it also comes down to, attracting and recruiting the right players. People want to play in Champions League, right? So it'll be interesting to see, right? So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, and United fan base has always been divide and conquer for many, many years. So hopefully my mission on my channel is to get everyone united. So that's it.
You mentioned players there, and one player that I think does divide Man United fans at the moment is Rashford. Scored a goal yesterday, but what are your thoughts on him? Does he need a fresh start, or would you keep him?
Rashford. All right. So first and foremost, I have no agendas. I've been a lifelong United supporter for 50 years, goes in 2 generations from my grandfather to my father. So, my first words was United, not mom and dad, to be honest, right? So I'm a true patriot, Red.
Yeah.
So for me, you look at that game yesterday, you look at Phil Foden versus Marcus Rashford, 2 Mancunians, both from similar backgrounds, poor upbringings. Football was the way out. One gets paid 300 quid a week, and the other one, I don't know how much, 150. One won shit, to be honest. World Cups, the cup, treble and stuff like that, and Champions League. Marcus Rashford hasn't won anything, to be honest, and is getting paid 300. I think that most of the fan base look at the performance of the pitch. 30 goals contribution last season, and this 6 goals. What's wrong, Marcus? So, it doesn't really help if you go out there with PR to say that I'm bigger than the club kind of thing, and shut up, like it's me, it's my personal life, stuff like that. I don't prior what people do in their personal life. I judge what they do on the pitch, and so far, I can agree with the most of the fan base. They're tired, and if there was a bid from PSG in the summer, cash in. Sir Alex used to do that all the time.
Yeah. I will say that I was looking at the goals. Actually, Manchester United scored 37 goals this season, which is the same number as Luton Town, which was astonishing.
Yeah.
The next club below you, the only team that scored less, or the sort of next one down in that, is Bournemouth. So you think Man U, who are, I think, have got -1 goal difference, sitting 6. Is Ten Hag seems to be a little bit lucky. Is it a bit of a false position you're in?
Yes and no. To be honest, if you look at who we have as a striker position, we are counting on 21-year-old Rasmus Højlund, who had a fantastic trajectory, played 1 season in Copenhagen, went to Sturm Graz 1 season, and 3/4 of season at Atalanta, and now at Manchester United. Now, he didn't really get going until Christmas, right? So this where his scoring run started. Scored 5 in the Champions League, and I think it's 8 out of 8, and record breaker as the youngest player since he even broke Anelka's record in, I think it was 99, as the youngest player to scored like 6 consecutive goals, right, in the Premier League. And evidently he's out. We don't have anyone else. We've been lacking of supply to the, some people call it a graveyard shift, right? Anthony Martial, we can have a debate on another show on that one, but he dodged that bullet, right? Supposed to be injured. Hips don't lie, what they say. So we don't really have a striker. So evidently you saw that yesterday in the City game. Marcus Rashford is not number 9. He's purely, utterly a left winger. So who do we start? Where's the goals coming from? And that's been the problem of this season, right? So the midfield has been unbalanced. We're getting young Kobe Mainoo. We can't overplay Kobe Mainoo. He's a talent, abundance of talents, same as Garnacho, same as Højlund. So the problem for me has been that the senior players haven't really stepped up to the plate, right? And on the other hand, with all these injuries, Mark, to be fair, Ten Hag had to play players in out of their position, out of the comfort zone. He had to sort of mix it around. So basically, we've been hopping on one leg, hoping to score and banking on Marcus Rashford to score, but he hasn't been on form. Like yesterday, he did. Yeah, he scored a rocket. That was fine. But what did he do for the rest of the game? I've done my bit. Back to you, Bob. That's it, right? And then he got subbed after 75 minutes. So it's a lot of question marks, mate.
Yeah, one of the transfers as a West Ham fan that baffles me. Ten Hag has worked with Anthony, who is one of those players that people just don't like. I'm not a fan. Obviously, I don't see him week in, week out, but I just think he's one of those stroppy players. Fernandez, maybe another. We'll come on to that. But with you've seen Anthony, and then you see Mohamed Kudus at West Ham, and the kind of impact he's had for 38 million versus 82 million. It's like he worked with both. Why take one, not the other?
First and foremost, I know the agent of Anthony Dos Santos, 365. That's Junior Pedrosa. And this is a true story because I worked in the intermediate market as well. So for me, he was never a 90 million pound player. There was early negotiations in the beginning with Ajax regarding Mohamed Kudus, Anthony Dos Santos, and Martinez. During Timber was also a negotiation with, But we had somebody called John Murtaugh that is not a sporting director. So what happened was John Murtaugh went on a holiday in the middle of the transfer window.
Right.
And Junior Pedrosa told me, who the hell goes on a holiday in the middle of the transfer window and come back 2 weeks later before the close date? So it was more of a panic. So basically, they pulled the pants down. Basically, from 35 million to 90 million, 15 million went to the mother club's Sao Paulo. An agent cashed in a long thing and then laughed all the way to the bank. Now, for me, I don't really like what I see at the moment. You know, he hasn't delivered since January, and that was in the cup, I think, 1 goal. But it's just been okay. To be honest, I don't think he will survive. He's too lightweight for the Premier League, and you want wingers to be charging the fullbacks, be unpredictable. Not just cut into the left, and people can read him like an open book. They know what he's going to do. He's going to, drive the byline, and just cut into the left and shoot the curler with his left foot. That is the trick. Like yesterday, for instance, he had one opportunity when he came off the bench. I think he ran at Ake. He did it brilliant, like on the byline, and then he stopped. And who came and stopped him? Ran all the way from the 6-yard box was Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Stopped and clipped him. So that's, for me, it's not going to work, my friend. And Mohamed Kudus, what a difference. Yeah. There's levels. Either like Omar Barada said in an interview, he said, when he comes in, he's going to look at 2 years performance. If you're not performing within 2 years, we cut the losses. And I'm afraid that there's a lot of players at United is going to face the axe in the summer. Anyone that earns over 150, Yeah. Because what I'm trying to say here is that one is earning 250, which is Anthony, right? I don't know how much Kudus is on.
At West Ham, you won't be on anywhere near that.
No, true. So you can see the levels of performance. For me, it's all performance management. How much are you getting paid? How much sick leave do you have? What's the output? It's easy. Yeah. It's easy calculation. So if you look at United's wage bill, right, anything above 150 is going to be scrutinized. And he's one of them. You have Casemiro, you have Varane, you have Maguire.
Yeah.
Overinflated players with no output. So for me, that's the first thing that needs to be done in the summer.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you one last question before we move on to a City fan. It's an interesting one because Phil Foden was absolutely brilliant yesterday. So my question is, would you rather have Phil Foden at Manchester United or a 23-year-old Paul Scholes?
23-year-old Paul Scholes, 100%.
I thought you might.
No,
say
big
that.
up. No, seriously, yeah. Phil Foden, his levels, his class, I really admire. He's a local lad. You know what I mean? And what he did yesterday was world class, according to my opinion. Right at the end of the day. So congratulations for City, but the FFP is still there. The 115 charges.
That's true. Something's coming. Something will come for him. But Mick, I really appreciate you coming on. I do appreciate your time. Thanks very much for that. Cheers, mate.
Craig Warby's here. Big up, Craig. From my
Hey, Craig. Pop that up there. How you doing? Cheers. See you soon.
Cheers.
Okay, so on the counterbalance of that, on the flip side of that great game yesterday, we're going to talk to John, who is a Man City fan. John, welcome. All kitted up. Good to see it, mate. How you doing?
I'm very well, Mark. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Not too bad, sir. Not too bad. Right. So let's start off with that. What did you think of yesterday's game?
Yeah, obviously kind of blown away in the first 10 minutes. It was a great goal by Marcus Rashford. I have to give him credit where credit's due. But I think once they got that goal, it was 11 men, all hands on deck, just not letting us get in the box. Obviously, Haaland missed that open goal, so he is human after all. But I think the goal was always coming from ourselves. We just had to find the end product at the end of the day. And then once Foden got the equaliser, and again, it took us 20 minutes to go ahead, but I think it was only going one way. And again, you looked at two benches yesterday, just going off what the back of Mick said there, and it was men against boys. But I don't think United had much of a game plan apart from pumping it up to Fernandes knocking it down and looking to get Garnacho or Rashford in. But I was saying to off Mark, I thought Ten Hag really lacked ambition yesterday. He went 2-1 down, and instead of bringing an attacking-minded, forward-thinking player like Christian Eriksen, all right, he's not what he once was, but he's a person who drives forward, looks to bring others into play. He brings on Amrabat. Why not go for it? So scary in the first 10 minutes, but we kick on and look forward to Liverpool on Sunday.
I have to ask this one. Were you because you went to the game, you were there, weren't you?
Yeah.
Were you off your seat and celebrating when that cross come into Haaland before he absolutely ballooned it for miss of the season?
So I was, I'm at the other end of the stadium. So Haaland's back is to me. I'm looking right down the net, and as soon as the cross came in, left his foot. Was kind of halfway up off my seat, and then I was with my uncle. I kind of collapsed into my uncle. We both looked at each other like, how did he miss it? Really, I just thought, is it going to be one of those days where United just get a slutchy 1-0 win and we rue our chances? But thankfully not. Obviously, Haaland popped up with the goal at the end, so he kind of redeemed himself. He's one of those players, isn't he? As Mick said, is he a robot or a freak of nature? He is a freak of nature. He's an absolute. He's a machine. He really is a machine. He just finds a way, and he's unstoppable. Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with Mick. He's not a robot because he makes mistakes, so he's done with that freak of nature mentality. And there's a question here from actually. Comment more. City's expensive lawyers will tie the Prem up in FFP for years. A slap on the wrist. Do you think there's something coming down the line, John? Potentially, yes, I do. I mean, 115 charges is a lot. Donald Trump has 99 charges against him, and he's, the Supreme Court said that he can still, run to be the American president. So I think something is coming down the line. Whether we'll get a points deduction or banned from the league or banned from certain competitions, I'm not too sure. It's one of the biggest teams in the league, so whether they want to make a statement, I don't know. We've seen Everton get the 10-point deduction, but they've been given 4 points back. But I agree with Ant's comment. I think it'll be in the court for years, and if we're not getting anywhere, it ends up us paying a large settlement or we're banned from a competition, it might go that way. I'm not a legal expert, so I don't know, but it's, I think so. We can't. There won't be just a non-verdict, and we can't find anything. There'll be something, but none of us know what that is, do we? I think they said it's just because Everton was the reason that was so quick because there was only one charge or two charges, I think there was in the end. But with there's like I don't know, over 100, isn't there, for City? It's like a ridiculous amount, so that's why it's going to take so long. But look, if anything does come down the line, we get booted down to League Two. Great, bring on Hull and Millwall away. Stoke on a Tuesday night again. It'll be obviously everyone will rub it in our faces, but you just have to see the fun side of it. Yeah, it's mad. And also, as a score update, Oscar's let us know that Arsenal were already 3-0 up at. He did correct that and say Bramall Lane to be separate, but Bramble Lane. For those more like Wilfred Brambo and Steptoe and Son, if for those old enough to hear it, because that's going to be a cricket score, I think, tonight. So maybe we'll get some Arsenal fans on. They might get bored of that, like they did against West Ham the other week. But coming back to City, I mean, what are their weaknesses? That's a really good question. I think we've seen it in recent weeks with definitely the long ball over the top. Us playing that high line. I don't. Apart from Kyle Walker, we're not blessed with the quickest centre halves or full backs. I know Nathan Ake at left back has been doing an absolutely. I think Nathan Ake is one of the most underrated defenders in the Premier League, if not European football. But I do think once teams get in behind with us, and United exploited it yesterday at times. I think once someone goes bombing on it, it's very hard to get them. I'm never going to question Pep Guardiola in my life, but I think sometimes we just need to smash the ball in the back of the net rather than, I know the build-up play and the intricacy is amazing, but I think sometimes we don't take our chances as we saw yesterday. And I'll probably sound like a hypocrite here and people will tell me what am I whinging about, but I know during the winter period we had a lot of people injured and we were looking to the bench and it's, who's going to come off. And I, saying to you off air, Mark, I think we were a bit quick to get rid of Mahrez and Gundogan. I think we could have kept them around for another couple of years. So, I think if we have three or four injuries, we have to look to Oscar Bob to get the winner for us against Newcastle. So, again, we could lose 3 or 4 players, but I think it is that potential pace on the back line and maybe just being a little bit too intricate at times. But look, we're coming off the back of a treble-winning season, so I can't highlight too many weaknesses.
Yeah, and do you think you'll catch up Liverpool?
It will all depend. I'd like to say yes. I was at the Etihad when we beat GPR, and when we beat Aston Villa, I was looking to go to Istanbul yesterday. So anything can happen in football. I think whoever wins on Sunday, that's what it'll come down to. If we draw, then we've got to go and beat Arsenal at the end of the month. So I think we can do. Obviously, we've got a lot more squad depth than Liverpool can. I know their kids have really stepped up to the mark at the moment. But it's just how long can Klopp keep that motivation going and getting the drive out to them. So I think we can do. It all hinges on Sunday. Yeah,
it'd be interesting, obviously, with Klopp leaving, how that what's going to happen. Because typically the Premier League at the moment is a 3-horse race, isn't it? It's City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Sorry, Mick, and sorry, Anne, as well. But typically that's a 3-horse race. So, I mean, do you think it will turn into a 2-horse race once Klopp leaves?
I mean, we've seen it with Manchester United, haven't you? Had that long dynasty of Sir Alex Ferguson, and I agreed with a lot of what Mick said before as well. It's a massive transactional shift. And even when Guardiola leaves, I don't think City will be as dominant as we have been. But again, it's going back of what Mick said. It's the structure at Liverpool. Once Klopp leaves, are they going to give the new person time? What are the board are going to do? So I don't think Liverpool will be as dominant. I can see potentially this is Van Dijk and Salah's last season as well. So there will be a cultural shift, but I know not all Liverpool fans are forward thinking, but they're quite a patient fan base, and I think they'll understand. It'll be, and it all depends who they get in as well. Could it be Graham Potter? Is it going to be Xabi Alonso? Who knows? I think it just depends on who gets the job at the end of the day and who stays and who they bring in. There's a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm going to ask our Liverpool fan who's coming on next, Jim, who he thinks the next manager could be, because I mean they are huge. They are absolutely huge shoes to fill. Let's face it. Like Klopp he's one of those managers that I don't like. Arteta, to be honest, I think he's very robotic, media trained, doesn't really give anything away. Although I did like the series they did of that Sky. Inside the changing room thing, can't remember what it's called, but
on Amazon, the All or Nothing thing.
All or Nothings, I think they're really good. So you do get a better insight to it. But I think he's a big character, and he'll be a loss. Just from a neutral point of view. Before you go, John, I do want to ask you about Phil Foden, because he's one of those players where, like, he's not. I don't know. He doesn't dominate England. He's not always the first. He's not the first name down on Southgate's team sheet. But is he maturing? Should he be now?
I don't think he should be the first name. I think he should be in the starting 11. I think since the Euros and the World Cup, he's come on leaps and bounds. If people are following City more in depth, you'll see that he's playing him in that Bernardo Silva role out wide, or he's putting him on the left wing, or then he's dropping me. Or not dropping me, obviously I don't play for City, or she did, but then he's dropping Foden more deeper into the middle of the park as well. So I think we're seeing him mature and have that more, utility player, presence about him. His game intelligence is brilliant. I think for me, in the middle of the park, it should be, Foden, Bellingham, and Rice, Saka on the right, Kane up front, and then that left wing spot is still left to be decided. It'd probably be Rashford. I don't think it'd be Sancho, but you've got your man Jarrod Bowen as well. But yeah, I think Foden should be starting every game for England now, whether it be against San Marino or in the final against France. But I will also throw in there, I think James Ward-Prowse should be in the next England squad. I don't think Henderson and Phillips should go. Just to throw 2 pence in there.
Yeah, well, I'll take that. I love that. He's covered more grass than any other Premier League player. James Ward-Prowse does the ugly work, which so hopefully that could release someone like Rice. But yeah, I wouldn't take Phillips as well. At the moment, he's just so off. What a bad loan signing that's been for us. It's been a shocker.
But yeah, on the Phil Foden, I think he just offers England so many different dynamics. He can either control the game, he can attack people. I think he's a full 90-minute player. Thanks to Prodigy Charles for the love for the shirt. Thank you very much. But yeah, Foden should be started, and he just offers a lot more than a Mason Mount could, or a Conor Gallagher, for example.
Yeah, I think Craig's piped in here just as a United fan regarding whether you want Liverpool or City to win.
It has to be City. If Liverpool win it, it'd just be I don't want to dig Liverpool out. I live in the city. I pay my rent and council tax here, but I think the media would be it'd be insufferable. So let us win it this time, and then Liverpool can fall away for a bit for Klopp, and that can be United fans' salvation.
You might live in Liverpool, John, but I don't suppose you walk around in that shirt in Liverpool, do you?
No, definitely not. No, it's just for the indoors. I value my life.
No problem at all, John. It's been a pleasure. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Appreciate it.
Okay, awesome. Just that quick score update. I think Oscar, if you can update us, I think it's still 3-0, 4-0. Is it? That's 4-0 for Arsenal against Sheffield United. Absolute tonking. Okay, so next on, we've got a Liverpool fan, Jim, who's hopefully been listening to some of that. So, Jim? Nice to see you, mate.
Definitely. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
What are your thoughts on some of those comments before we get into it?
I think in terms of John there saying that the media would be quite unbearable if Liverpool won the league. I'm proud. Yeah, definitely.
Fair enough. So talking about yesterday's game, I mean, firstly, we can't ignore that amazing assist that Liverpool had there from Paul Tierney. So your thoughts on that one?
Well, do you know what? I'm going to kind of dodge the question and say I was on a flight coming back to the UK, so I missed the game. But I've watched some of the game back, and it's clear to see it was a controversial decision. I think Forest are rightly a little bit pissed off about it, but to be honest with you, these decisions happen week in, week out in the Premier League. There's no sort of agenda for one team or the other. It's just the fact that we have a very poor standard of officiating in the Premier League. And I saw a few Forest fans were a bit annoyed about having our goal 36 seconds after added time. It'd be nice if people could grasp the idea that it's a minimum of so many minutes, and if you're going to time waste an extra time, the referee's going to add that on.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't want to get into. I think I don't want to start talking about VAR because it's the one thing when I watch Match of the Day that I'm absolutely bored of hearing. But I think everybody. I don't know anybody that really thinks that's been working. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it's definitely caused so many controversial decisions, but if you take VAR out of football now, out of the Premier League, you're going to have situations where players are going to go down, or there's going to be offsides that aren't going to be corrected. A lot of the decisions made by VAR are correct, and you can't really go back on it now. Otherwise, you're going to have a whole host of clear and obvious errors. It needs to be reformed. It needs to be changed, but I don't think there's any way to scrap it now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's gone too far and it's too expensive, but it's just it hasn't solved anything. It's ridiculous. I guess look, you said you didn't watch the game, so you just watched the highlights. Do you have any thoughts on the Forest game overall?
Yeah, again, it's we're trying to just grind out results at this point. I think with the squad as thin as it is, Klopp's looking to the kids who, to be fair to them, they've stepped up. They've really stepped up, which is great to see. You look at the young lad Bobby Clark, James McConnell, obviously Conor Bradley at right back as well. Jaden Dan's up top now, and you saw Lewis Kumas has just come on and scored on his debut in the cup. So look, there's plenty of excitement for the future at the club. But can we keep on getting these results, these last minute winners to the end of the season and win the title? I'd probably edge towards saying probably not. Yeah,
fair enough. Got a fan there with a spot on it. The kids have been brilliant. Yes, they have actually, and I do like Klopp for giving them a chance. I mean, maybe he's forced to. But a similar situation at my club with West Ham. Our team won the FA Youth Cup. Got a paper thin squad, smallest squad in the league, oldest squad in the league, and he won't play the kids. He's just rather, really zoom it into the ground and just crush his knee to smithereens. But yeah, it's good to see kids actually getting through and getting their chance in the Premier League and at a big club like Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. It's brilliant to see, and hopefully a lot of them with the next manager, whoever we get come next season, hopefully they'll be given a chance as well.
Yeah, that was a question I was going to ask, and Mick's beat me to that. So who's your thoughts that someone who can replace Klopp, if that's possible?
I don't think anyone can replace Klopp. He's sort of like this god figurehead at the club, and he's on par with the likes of Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley for what he's done for the club. The obvious name would be Xabi Alonso, 100%. You see what he's doing at Leverkusen. It's absolutely outstanding. So he seems to be the obvious pick. I saw Mick say, I think did he suggest Graham Potter before? Absolutely no chance of that happening. Absolutely not a chance. If Graham Potter's the Liverpool manager by next season, I might stop watching football. That would be the strangest appointment ever. But yeah, I think Xabi Alonso's the standout name, and hopefully he can do well at the club.
John said Mark Cooper for Liverpool, great up and coming manager. Where's Mark Cooper? Who's Mark Cooper?
I think you'll find he's probably at Yeovil Town. So I'm probably wouldn't be my first choice, Super Cooper. But
it's a slight step up.
It's a small step up, but if he's up for the task, then let's see. I'm open to ideas, apart from Graham Potter.
What he did well at Brighton. And I'm not saying Brighton's a Liverpool, but he was given a poison chalice at Chelsea. I don't think anyone's come in, and Poch is a great example at the moment. Nobody's doing well at Chelsea. It's an absolute shit show of a club at the moment. They are. Yeah. How anybody can be given $1 billion and absolutely spunk it like they've done it just blows my mind. They're
$1 billion
so badly run.
Jobs.
Yeah, it's mental. But you don't think he deserves another chance at a top club?
Yeah, I mean I suppose I'm probably writing him off a bit too soon. It's just it's the fact that you're following Jurgen Klopp, which is such a tricky task. And you can't just go for the same style of football. You're not going to get another Klopp. And the next manager of Liverpool shouldn't be someone that tries to be Klopp. They should be their own person and try and build their own legacy. But I don't think Graham Potter's the man. I don't think Roberto De Zerbi's the man either. And you look at the number of managers available. I was actually in Spain last week, and I was speaking to a Real Madrid fan. And I joked with him saying, I wonder if you'll give us Carlo Ancelotti if we can't get Xabi Alonso. And he said, no, you can have Carlo Ancelotti and we'll take Xabi Alonso. So it seems like even supporters over in Spain, the big clubs, they want Xabi Alonso as well. So if Liverpool could get there before a Bayern Munich or a Barcelona, then we might be in business for the next few years.
Yeah, someone like Nagelsmann or Tuchel, Thomas Tuchel, as Mick suggested.
I've always been a fan of Thomas Tuchel. I think he's one of the most underrated managers. He obviously that would be following the Klopp style, wouldn't it? Because he was at Mainz, Tuchel, and then went to Dortmund on Klopp's recommendation. So yeah, it would definitely make sense on a lot of levels. But Nagelsmann, I'm not 100% sure on. You're asking someone who would give a limb to see Klopp extend his contract and stay at the club. So it's quite unpleasant to think about a world without him.
And that was going to be another question as well. Do you think, like, if you did win the title, and we know how strong City come on, this is what we've seen time and time again. Arsenal have done it, been well out in the lead, but City are relentless in terms of pushing on and pushing to the end. But if Liverpool could hold on, do you think Klopp would stay?
No, I don't think so at all. I think one of the things that I think.
Oh, lost you there, Jim.
A high note. So. If he can win the Premier League and leave, then that would be, what a way to go that would be. Not tarnish your legacy in any sort of way. I'd want him to stay on 100%, but I think he's made his decision and he is a man of his word. So unfortunately, I don't think there's any hope that he'll stay.
Yeah. just get his statue outside and then say
Absolutely. Name one of the stands after him. Do whatever you want to honour him. I mean, he's absolutely he saved the club. Absolutely. What a man.
Awesome. I just want to talk about one of your players, Darwin Núñez, because I think he's a player that does separate fans. Because I think he's got a goal in every other game, so he's not like a bad striker or anything. But he does seem to miss a fair few. He should be a bit more prolific. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he struggled a bit in his first year, definitely, but he seems to really have come into his own this time around. And he's a very complete striker, which is nice to see. He's not just all about poaching for goals. He's really spreading the goals and assists across his game, which is great to see. And he's just, I can't really think of anything other than say that he's fucking mental. He's absolutely mental. You bring him onto a pitch, you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's quite refreshing to see that. You've just got this. I think Jamie Carragher called him Captain Chaos. You bring Captain Chaos on, and he's a nightmare for defenders. Absolute nightmare. But he's absolutely adored at the club. He really is.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, what was the last? I didn't have a last question. Now it's gone out of my head. Yeah, I can't think of it, Jim. He's gone, which is
you're not going to ask me who's going to win the league, are you?
Ah, there you go. Let's go with that one. Do you think you can do it? Do you think you can hold on?
I think it'll be City. I just want to get that on record.
Okay, fair enough.
It'd be brilliant if we did, but I think City are just that little bit too strong for us.
Yeah, and then it says Klopp needs to go. He wants to get some sun, like as if it's not the sun's not always shining up in Liverpool.
Is that a sun emoji? Is it? I thought it was it looked like a coronavirus thing. I thought. I think he wants that, but yeah, he will. He'll get some sunshine on his break.
Yeah, fair enough, Jim. I really appreciate your time, mate, and thanks for coming on.
No problem. Cheers for having me.
Cheers, mate. Okay, next up we have Holly from Holly's Hotspurs. And you can get your questions in here, mate. Holly, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for coming on. You've just come off fresh from one of your own podcasts on your channel. Is that right?
I have indeed. Mondays are a bit mental, I'm not going to lie. So, yeah.
Have you managed to grab a drink and some food?
Just about.
Good. Well, a win for Tottenham, obviously, against Crystal Palace. Son's assist was fantastic. The way he just powered through then and also scored himself at the end. I mean, he's one of my favourite Premier League players. I hate saying that because obviously I'm West Ham and you're Spurs, but brilliant player. You must be happy with that.
Oh, yeah, amazing. I mean, it was a bit of a turnaround, to say the least. It wasn't all plain sailing in that game. But yeah, Sonny is probably one of the best finishers we've had for a long time. Obviously, the man I won't mention that's obviously elsewhere in Germany is also up there. But it's nice that Sonny's still doing the business without him.
Yeah, he's an absolute quality player. And a quality free kick from Elise as well. You have to say that. That was an absolute rocket free kick from Palace.
Yeah, I was sat in the south stand and I think all of us around us were looking at each other like, oh my word, this angle, where it's placed, this is going in. And of course, he does score. There's a lot of us that would quite like him at Spurs. Whether that happens, I don't know. But yeah, it was a quality finish, to be fair.
That was going to be my question, actually. He seems to me like he's that sort of player. He could play for a big four club. So if that's someone that potentially you'd be happy to go after.
I think so, because I think even after the game, all the lads were kind of chatting with him and having a joke with him. I know that's probably too much to read into, but it just fits the mould at Spurs. I think he's one of those players who's got a bit of flair. Obviously, we're not very good at free kicks. I know defending and attacking them. So it'd be great to have someone that could actually put the ball in the back of the net from one of them. But yeah, I don't think any Spurs fan would say no to Elise.
Yeah, it was Eriksen was your last really good free kick take, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, he was, to be fair. And I know Harry technically scored one just before he left, but I don't know if you can kind of count that because the ball was rolling. So, but yeah, it'd be nice to have someone that can put the ball in the back of the net from a set piece.
Talking of putting the ball in the back of the net, Werner obviously got his first goal for the club. And that was a funny transfer. I think everybody kind of was a bit taken aback by that. Have Spurs fans taken to him?
Yes and no. Obviously, the amount of times he's missed chances or been offside and we get the joke, he's a Chelsea reject, this, that and the other. But it was nice to see him at the back of the net. Obviously, he had a chance in the first half and we were all scratching our heads to see how he's actually missed that. But it was a strange transfer and it wasn't. I think for us, there's no kind of sense of it's going to be a bad move for us because he could potentially go back. We don't have to keep him, and he's coming up the goods with assists, and now he's managed to score. So if he keeps doing what he's doing, it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Like I say, there's not many amazing strikers around, and you definitely needed a striker. So it's a stopgap. I don't think it'll be your long-term area. I mean, in terms of that, your areas that you need to improve, where do Spurs need players?
Well, it's definitely in that striker position, like I said. I mean, Richie has been banging them in peaks and troughs, but again, I wouldn't say he's going to be the man that's going to be able to carry us all those goals. I mean, I keep going back to it, but Harry Kane was just something different. He'd pull goals out of nowhere, and we're kind of missing that kind of person that can put the ball in the net on the spin of a hat. Sonny's great. Again, he has dips in form now and again, but I definitely think an out-and-out striker is someone that we definitely need. Also, in terms of obviously our wing backs, you look at the fact that we haven't had Pedro Porro. We've had him out for a little while. The gap in performance levels between Emerson and him is just, it's a joke. So we do need someone in to kind of, if Pedro Porro does become injured, we need him in. So I would say those kind of positions for me are two that I definitely want to go out and look for in the summer.
Yeah, and says get Isak in. Thoughts? Take him. Looks good.
He does look good, and again, I think I'm kind of under this illusion that if Ange wants a player, so be it. I think we've been at Spurs fans. We've been very patient for a very long time. But with Ange, I see a process, which is one I haven't seen in a very long time. I'm not depressed watching football anymore, so that's a win. So if Ange wants him, so be it. Go get him.
Fair enough. I can't pronounce that username, but someone also doesn't sound like they're very much a fan of Timo as well.
No, but I think the thing is, you just got to let him have a bit of time. It's a win-win for Spurs. We don't necessarily have to keep him, and the fact that he scored assists, he's got goals, it's all right.
Yeah, you're 5 points behind Villa. I think you do have a game in hand, of course, but do you think you can nip in and secure that Champions League spot?
It's a very difficult question. I'm kind of on the stance of wherever we kind of finish, it's probably going to be higher than what I thought it was going to be at the start of the season. So I think this game against Villa is definitely the one that could kind of be like, right, this is where we are, this is where we're heading. If we can get a result away to them, I could happily sit here and say potentially top four's on. But I think if we go there and don't start for the first 50 minutes like we seem to be doing week in, week out, then I feel like we will be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, it does. You never get off to a flyer, Spurs.
No,
you come from behind a lot, but you are 6 points ahead of Man United. Sorry, Mick, with a game in hand. But do you think they could catch you?
It's a difficult one because with Man United, you can't put on what team's going to come out and perform each week. And I think for us, luckily, where we got that result and they didn't, it kind of worked in our favour. So I'd like to sit here pretty and think, nah, they ain't going to catch us. But with Spurs, you still can't predict them either at the minute. So I'd like to say, no, they can't catch us, but who knows?
Yeah. But obviously, the big one is going to be the Villa game. Should have won the reverse fixture, says Ant. Now, in fact, I'm going to put up a comment here that Mick said, because actually this is quite an interesting one. Because I think we talked, Holly, I think we were talking before the show, and I mentioned the word Spursy, which I do wind Ant up about. But you said Chelsea, the new Spursy, but Harry Kane, doesn't seem to want to win anything, does he? What's happening with him? I mean, having a great season, but it will end up meaning nothing.
I know. I sound like I feel like I want to feel sorry for him, because I do in a sense, because all of us Spurs fans, we didn't begrudge him when he left. Obviously, we were heartbroken that he went, but we were all kind of like, if he's going to win a trophy, go let him do it. And now the fact that, what is it now, 10 points behind the leaders, and it's what they win it nearly all the time. It's like, oh my word, maybe it wasn't Spurs, maybe it was Kane all after all. But yeah, it's slightly sad for him. I really don't know what's gone on. I know lots of rival fans joke and say when push comes to shove, he's not the man to manage to do it. I mean, obviously in the Champions League final for us, he started over Lucas Moura. That's another heated debate in the fan base. But yeah, it seems to be at the minute, whatever Kane does, he can't seem to win a trophy.
It's terrible, isn't it? You think, well, actually, if he goes, you go abroad to a league where pretty much you're guaranteed to win the league. They won it 11 out of the last. Yeah, they won it 11 years running, I think. Might be 10, might be 11, but it's definitely a decade at least. And then you go there and he has an amazing season. Like, he's a quality player. He really is. He's England's best player by far. You know, he's just brilliant when he's attacking, not dropping deep, but he just doesn't seem to win it. It just blows my mind how someone that good, if he ends up finishing his career not winning anything, would be mental.
It would just be really depressing. And that's the thing. He's decided to take over winning a trophy over getting top goal scorer in the league. And it's almost like, it's a waste. Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether he can come back potentially and come back to the Premier League and maybe still beat that record, but it's almost like, my word, what has the man got to do to win?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, that's the thing. If he doesn't win there, but he does seem very settled. He keeps saying he's settled, although that might be media talk. But if he does go back to Spurs, could he then overtake Shearer? I still think he's got enough time to do it, but really he's got to make that decision at the end of the year. So obviously, as Spurs fans, you'd love to have him back. Or maybe Manchester United could steal him.
No. Can he come back to us, please? We need an out-and-out striker. Imagine him with Madders behind him. Like, it would just be a dream come true.
Fair enough. Now, I've got to ask you, there was a bit of a strange, a bit of a controversial Spurs thing that happened this week when Ange Postecoglou won London Manager of the Year ahead of Mikel Arteta and even David Moyes. And I'm sure we'll get some stick for saying that, but at least Moyes has won something. Not a great trophy, but he's won a trophy. What were your thoughts on that one? Do you think that was a bit odd?
I'm obviously going to sit here and say no because it's Anfield. We're loving life. But I can't sit here and be naive and blind to the fact that Arteta has done great things at Arsenal. As much as that annoys me, he has done. And it's bizarre as well that we've got these kind of awards halfway through a season. Like, it blows my mind. But credit, I mean, the only way I can see he's won it is the fact that he's come into a broken Tottenham that's had to put up with Jose, that's had to put up with Conte, with these players. We've lost our best player in Kane and we're still battling for top four. I think that's the only way I can kind of comprehend that he's won it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he has come in and he does seem like a very, he's a straight talker. I think, as a neutral, he's quite a likable manager. And I think that goes a long way just in terms of people buying into Tottenham. The top four this year, we talk about and I want to touch on the European Super League. I know that may or may not go ahead. And Spurs' inclusion in that when they've been trophyless for quite a while. Do you still, I mean, obviously you're a Spurs fan here, but it'd be great to hear in the comments, I guess, like the inclusion, it baffled me, the inclusion of Spurs going into that, because I think in terms of top six, last year you finished top six, I think, but before that you had them for a little bit. But then like Chelsea being in it, and now Chelsea have totally fallen away. What are your general thoughts on the European Super League?
I don't particularly want it. I didn't want it at the time when it broke. I feel like it's just not for fans. And if we can't watch football on the telly because the telly rights are taking it away, I do not want to be travelling abroad to watch my team playing this kind of competition the way it was set out to play. I can only imagine that our inclusion was in it because of kind of our sponsorship and our partnerships with loads of different things. And obviously it's come to light that Spurs are in good stead in terms of our financial kind of FFP, if that makes sense. So that's my only kind of idea to why we were included, but for me, I'm not really about it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Barcelona and City were in contention. I think their FFPs all over the place. I don't think that makes it baffles me. FFP just absolutely baffles me. I just don't know what's happening with it. So it's a weird one. But next year, obviously, Ange just started out really well. I think you've got a really solid base there. Obviously, having Maddison and some other really good players, some good additions, young additions as well. Hence comment there. Spurs are massive, that's why. Stop nicking West Ham's terms, boy. But next year, where do you think they can push on? Do you think they really should be pushing to be Champions League regulars?
I think so. The fact that we've done so well this season, I would hate for us to then drop off and then kind of regress, if that makes sense. With the players we've got, I mean, Mickey van der Ven, who I call Daddy Longlegs, my word, he is some player. I think if we just fill in the gaps that we need, then there's no reason why we can't push for top four, but not be like, oh, we might get it. I think we should be getting it next season. I don't know whether we reach it. Even if we don't get it this season, I think it's still a step in the right direction. I just want to see progression each season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think you've definitely got that good base, Holly, and look forward to hearing more from you as well. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
No, thank you for having me. It was good fun.
No problem. Okay, right. So now we move on to, I just want to talk about our score for a score game. So this is very simple. All you need to do is to predict the outcome of the Liverpool versus Manchester City game that's on next Sunday. Let me just change that there. So all you need to do is hit subscribe and just add a comment, whether you think Liverpool or City are going to win that game or it's going to be a draw. The winner will be picked live on next week's show, and we'll be revealing that with a spin of a wheel, which I'll put together. So basically all you need to put is either a Liverpool win, a draw, or Man City. First answers only. I'm not going to allow everybody just to put multiple answers there. And the competition closes on Saturday. So I will take a snapshot on Saturday before the game. And then we'll add those names into the wheel and we'll pick out a winner. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you very much for coming. That's Talking Balls episode 1. Thanks for your time.